Your phone buzzes for the 11th time tonight. You already know what it says before you look. Your shoulders climb toward your ears before you've even read a single word. Your stomach does the small, familiar drop it always does right before you open a message like this one. Every reply you've ever sent has gotten twisted into new ammunition by morning. So has every silence, every apology, every attempt to just calmly explain your side. Tonight, for the first time, you try something different. You send 4 words back. Flat, boring, nothing to grab onto, no explanation attached, no emotion for it to feed on. The silence that follows is the loudest thing that's happened between you in months. By the end of this file, you'll understand exactly why that silence just worked and what it actually costs to keep it going. There's a name for what you just did. Psychologists studying manipulation call it gray rock. Not fighting back, not explaining yourself, becoming on purpose, as uninteresting as a rock on the side of the road. No texture, no color, nothing a passerby would ever stop to look at twice. It sounds almost too simple to work. That's exactly why so few people trust it until they've tried it, and why almost everyone who tries it correctly is surprised by how fast something shifts. The term traces back to an anonymous blog post from the early 2000s, written by someone who'd spent years managing a manipulator at close range. The advice was deceptively simple: become as interesting as a gray rock. No reaction, no texture, nothing for that person's attention to catch on. It didn't start as a clinical term. It became one because it kept working, described independently by enough people that researchers studying narcissistic abuse eventually adopted the same language. Word of it spread through survivor forums first, long before any professional wrote it down. Sometimes the field of psychology catches up to what people in the middle of it already had to figure out for themselves. 4 mechanisms explain why something this simple is also this effective, and why it works precisely because of how this kind of attention is built, not in spite of it. Here's the part most people get wrong before they even start. Gray rock doesn't mean going cold, or cutting someone off, or winning some silent contest. It means giving a real answer in the fewest, flattest words possible, and stopping there. Slam the door too hard, go silent too suddenly, and it stops looking like disengagement. It starts looking like a move in the same old fight. Do it wrong, too cold, too sudden, and it reads as an attack. Do it right, and it reads as nothing at all. That difference is the entire method. The first hidden thing is the supply line. Narcissistic personality organization runs on a steady supply of attention and reaction from other people. Admiration when things go well, and just as often, distress when they don't. Either reaction works as fuel. Anger, tears, a long explanation defending yourself, all of it gets read the same way, proof that the line still works. Even a furious argument from the outside looks like a failure to connect. From the inside of this pattern, it's a full, working supply line, running exactly as designed. That's why the fight so rarely resolves anything. Resolution was never actually the goal being served by it. The goal was contact, any contact, charged with enough feeling to count. Gray rock doesn't argue with the demand for supply, it just disconnects the line. The second hidden thing is the extinction burst. When a behavior that used to get a reliable response suddenly stops working, that behavior doesn't quietly fade. It spikes first, often sharply, before it drops off. That's the part almost nobody warns you about. The first few days of gray rock often get worse, not better. Louder texts, bigger accusations, a sudden burst of charm designed to get the old reaction back. It can look for a moment like the technique backfired completely, like you made things worse by trying to make them quieter. That spike isn't proof the method failed. It's usually proof it's about to start working. Knowing that in advance is the entire difference between quitting on day 2 and still being flat on day 10. Quick pause before we go further. I'm Stephen. I build these files alone. Research, writing, sourcing. No sponsor decides what gets covered here. If this file's doing something for you, the free move that keeps it going is simple. Like it, subscribe, and drop 1 word in the comments. The flattest, most boring reply you've ever actually sent. Back to the file. The third hidden thing is the rock itself, what the method actually looks like in practice. Short, factual answers. Okay, noted. I'll think about it. Nothing defended, nothing explained, nothing left dangling for a follow-up question to grab. No eye contact held a beat too long. No tone that rewards the accusation with real emotion, positive or negative. No apology offered for things that don't need one. and no counter-accusation either, however tempting it gets. It isn't acting cold, it's declining to perform at all, neither the fight they're fishing for, nor the warmth they'd also happily take instead. That distinction matters, because most people's instinct is to overcorrect into ice, which reads as a reaction of its own. A rock doesn't defend itself when you kick it. It also doesn't flinch. That's the whole demonstration. Think about the last argument you didn't actually need to win. Not the ones that mattered, the ones you got pulled into anyway, out of habit because leaving a jab unanswered felt unbearable in the moment. Count how many messages it took before either of you said anything actually new. Notice how much of that fight only existed because you supplied your half of it. The fourth hidden thing is the cost of rockhood. Suppressing a genuine emotional reaction, on purpose, in real time, carries a measurable psychological cost. It takes real effort, and that effort adds up the longer it's sustained. Gray rock isn't a personality. It's a tool built for a specific, temporary situation, not a permanent way to move through every relationship you have. Run it long enough as a lifestyle instead of a strategy, and the flatness you built for protection starts flattening everything else too. The good conversations along with the bad ones. People who stay in rock mode for months sometimes report the same complaint. They can't remember the last time they let anyone, including someone safe, get an honest reaction out of them. The method was never meant to be worn forever. It was meant to buy you enough room to plan the next move. So here's the architecture underneath the 4 words you sent tonight. The supply line, cut off. The extinction burst, expected instead of feared. The rock, held without flinching. The cost, paid on purpose, for a limited time, not forever. None of this makes the manipulator disappear. It just stops handing them the one thing their whole approach depends on. It won't fix the relationship, and it was never trying to. It buys quiet, not resolution. And quiet is sometimes the only thing that was actually available. That's a smaller promise than the ones usually made about techniques like this. It also happens to be a true one. And the silence that followed your 4 flat words wasn't empty. It was the sound of a supply line finally going quiet. This has been the file on Gray Rock, the psychological trick that makes narcissists leave you alone. File closed. A gray rock is a mask you wear for protection until it's safe enough to put down. It isn't the same mask this channel has already named. That one hides a wound. This one is protecting one. The next file is about the mask you take off once you finally are safe enough. Individuation. How to make peace with your own shadow.